Welcome to part 2 of how to carve a cardinal. The work was done first with a chainsaw, and now I am going to do some sanding with the Dremel. It's a very slow process, but it allowed me to shape and feel my way around the beak, the eyes, and determine really if this is a good tool for this task or not. Several times I stopped, drew in the lines again, and used the sander another time. You can't see it, but off to the right there is my reference picture so that I can tell what size, location, proportion, all the features are. I'm thinking very seriously about this time about my decision to use the sanding disc, and I'm wondering if maybe I have lost my marbles. But I remember struggling to think, I don't really know what else to use at this point. But if you stick with me, you'll see what decision I made and how much better it worked. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but the summer sounds are awesome. You can hear the birds and the bugs. So cool. The sweating part's not all that cool. Super humid. And so the sawdust really sticks to my arms and my legs. Back to using the sanding disc again. Still not happy with it, but gonna keep trying. Sanding, drawing, sanding, drawing, sanding, drawing. Look at the back of that head. See how I've got the crown flat in the back? It's not gonna stay that way, but I don't know that yet. Some of the pictures I looked at made me believe that the crown actually was feathers off to the right and the left of the head, which is not true, but I'll take care of that problem here shortly.
Let's stop and do check-in here. Here is the Cardinal at this point, and what I've been able to do so far is to smooth out the bottom, the base, take out most of the rough places in the Cardinal from the chainsaw marks, draw in the wings, draw in the eyes, the mask, draw in the swooping feathers of the head to the crown, draw in the tail feathers, draw in the feet so I can tell where they're going to be, and really get a good overall feel for how he's going to look. I think he's turning out pretty good so far, and in my next session I'm going to use the Dremel to carve in the indentations of some of the features in the face, and to carve in some indentations around the feet, and then paint it. I've added another picture here to work from. I found another picture of a cardinal. I looked at several more trying to figure out how to do the crown. In some of the pictures I was working off of before, it's like the middle of the head went back and these feathers kind of stuck up high but curved in a little bit and curved up a little bit on both sides, but they still didn't meet in the middle, that there was a gap. And I thought that's really going to be complicated to carve, but okay, here we go. But the more I thought about it and the more I worked on it, the more uncomfortable I became. So I went and looked at more pictures and concluded that this crown does come to a point, it does come together. Most representations I found do not show the head rounding in between these side feathers. So I'm going to go with that. It seems very acceptable to carve it that way, and I like the way it looks, and so I'm going to use that here. And so I'm going to bring this to a point up at the top, put a little swoop in it this way, a little swoop in it this way, and it'll come to a point there at the peak. Then I didn't know how big to make the beak. So you can see here my beak is pretty beefy compared to this one. So I'm going to narrow that beak down by really pushing in the sides on both sides to get this kind of an indentation here. And on this representation, the mask is much smaller than in this one. There's more surface area masked in this one than in this one, but this one looks more natural, probably because it's not cartoony. And now let's get to carving.
I decided to use a different rotary bit and not the sanding disc this time. And I still wasn't satisfied with it. It was so very slow.
When I use a whittling knife,
very difficult to feel like I was making any progress.
Here, which is for pressing.
This went on for quite some time, and next you'll see what decision I made that was much more satisfactory.
Oh, I got the wrong hand. This is for my right hand. This is the glove I almost never use. I got to get the one for my left hand. Here's my left hand, and this keeps me from, when I slip, from accidentally cutting my hand, which I do slip pretty regularly, so it's a big deal to keep my hand protected. I want to make sure I know where the center line is, because this is where I want the feathers to come together, right here at the tip. It's coming together. Okay, now I see it's kind of coming to a point here. So let's see, I have probably too much here. I can probably get rid of some of that. And I need all of this to come together in the back to a point. See, there it is. It's coming to a point nicely now. There. Yeah, he's very Cardinal-esque. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, now let's see. Now I want to thin out the head a little bit. Seems too thick to me. Okay, I think I'm gonna be okay with that for right now. It comes to a nice point here. So, and it's not bad. Not bad. I don't have any good red. I'm not sure how I mixed this one. That one actually would be pretty good. I need to go back and figure that out. But I do have some straight brown. That was a mix. I just realized that I just saw it. But this brown will be great for the branch. So the branch is from here to here, and it's broken, so it's going to have a ring out here, and then it comes out this way. So Mr. Cardinal is sitting, gripping the back edge of this brown branch. Now I hope you can see it, because I realize if I have to explain too much about what something is, then it's not really obvious enough, and I haven't done my job shaping it properly, or at least that's my take on it. But hopefully you'll be able to tell. See, the shrubbery line will be right here, so the bottom of it you won't be able to see it. So it'll look like, at least this is my attempt, I'm learning here, learn with me. This sticks up, and then there's a broken branch that comes out this side of it. Let me get this whittling protection off. So out here, this is the round part. And I'm okay with the sawdust being mixed in there. In this case, texture, color. I did a wolf one time where I took ash from my fireplace, and while the paint was still wet, I sprinkled it all over it and then rubbed it into the paint. It was kind of cool. Gave it a neat texture and color that I was after. So sometimes I just try stuff. All right, now I'm going to cover his little feet, and I'll paint them over top of it once the brown dries. Now I'm only painting part of this because I want it to look like a stick, and then this is just, to me, is an acceptable connective tissue of the sculpture. Tissue. Okay, it's wood that keeps the sculpture from falling off the stump. I think I do like connective tissue. It sounded like I was trying to be big, wordy, and impressive or something, but it was actually the thing that made the most sense. And I am painting not in my paint clothes, so I gotta be really careful. I don't want to create new paint clothes. That's how paint clothes become paint clothes in my cabinet, my clothes cabinet, is because I was happening to wear something that didn't have paint on it when I was painting, and it became paint clothes. So I don't want to manufacture any more paint clothes. And this is a practice piece. I don't know if I told you this yet. This is a practice piece. It is going to be for sale, but the tree I'm going to be carving this in, that is on site in my friend's garden that hired me to carve this cardinal, is in a tree this size. So I wanted to practice on a tree this size so I could get an idea. See, there we go. So the branch and the branch. So I think there we go. All right, I'm gonna see if I can figure out how I did this. Ow, something just hit me in the head. So I'm gonna go clean my brush and try to mix this, and I'll tell you what I came up with to mix it. Okay, look at this. So I tried, this is called alizarin crimson, maybe? And so I used this one, and then I put in some of this white. Well, it doesn't really say white. What color is this? It just says acrylic premium paint. Oh yeah, there it is. It says it's white. And so I came up with this color by mixing a couple of little squirts of this in with a great big squirt of this. And I realize that's uber scientific. But the reason I'm excited is, look at this. I think once I get it on there, it'll look very similar. I don't know. Let's try it. Let's try it and see. So I need a paintbrush. I should probably go get a paintbrush. It's kind of Cardinal-esque, you think? Look pretty cardinal-y. So I'll come back. I gotta come back and put the black mask on the black eyes. So I don't know why I'm working so hard to steer around this. I'm just gonna have to paint black over top of it. So I'm just gonna start gobbing it on there. And I don't need to be careful at the neckline. I just need to get paint on there and get a lot of paint on there. Oh, this is fun. Starting to look like a cardinal. The more something starts to look like something, the more excited I get. Thank God for getting me on the right track and helping me to figure out what was making it not look like its thing. At first, I thought, man, this thing just looks like a parrot. I didn't mean to carve a parrot. I accidentally carved a parrot. I started out carving a cardinal. So what do I need to do to make it look like a cardinal? And so I studied a bunch more pictures and just it's really it's a feeling sensation. And I know it's not very teaching. It's kind of hard to follow somebody when they say, oh, you just have to feel it. Well, I can tell you for sure that there is a zone of consciousness in which creativity happens better, faster, with better results. There is a place. There is that place. And how I get there might be more insightful and more helpful as we're learning here together. I get there by getting started. I don't get started because I'm there. I mean, you hear the difference? It's not. I don't wait until like the creative mood hits me, and then I get creative. I it I don't think it works that way. I mean, if it works that way for you, please share with me how that happens. But what happens for me is that I just have to be intentional. This is what I'm going to make. I am going to carve a cardinal, right? And then I get started. I need some pictures. How big is it going to be? I need a piece of wood. And I make some general cuts. And I just keep moving. I keep moving in the direction that makes sense to me. I know at my level of skill and experience that I cannot instantly make the first cut in the right place every time. I'm not. That's not going to happen. I know guys who do. Man, oh man, like I watched Ryan cook, and he just like sticks the saw right where it goes, and when he's done, that's what it looks like in some cases. And that comes from tremendously well-trained muscle memory, practice. Like he says, once you've done it, you got it. Once you've done it 20 times, you really got it. And I'm not looking exactly at it, but I think that's the quote. And so I'm getting that understanding. I just have to get started. And so when I do a cut, in comparison, I want to make sure that it's not. I want to make sure that it's not harmful. You know, I'm more focused on it being not harmful than I am focused on it being precise, because I don't want to damage it and make some high value firewood. I want to make the thing I'm making. And so I make a cut that I know is not harmful until I'm exactly sure where the feature goes. Like, I'm not going to drop the saw right in here, for example, and make that beak until, well, I'm almost done with the saw, because I need to know where the beak is and how it's shaped is so critical for it representing what you're trying to carve, so people know what it is, and you give either what you intended or what was purchased from you. It needs to look like that thing. Man, I'm excited about this red. This turned out so good. And this is it's a learning guess. And I thought my friend that paints so much said this to me, that this was the basis for like everything red. And I'm not sure that's exactly what she said, but boy, it sure worked out good here when I put some white in it, and then I paint it over top of this spalted piece of wood, so that the cream color of the wood, which is the dominant color, shows through, but then the spalting colors add some real depth to the color. Is that the right word, depth? It adds detail, features. So in other words, it's not just this solid color. All of these colors underneath, and the way they're varied, they show through, and they affect how the color looks to our eyes, and I think that's pretty cool. I think it makes it better. And I really hope I mixed enough paint. Since it's mixed, it's not like I can just go back to Lowe's and say I want some more. And none of this paint came from Lowe's anyway. The one color came from my friend, and the other color came from Hobby Lobby. I have more of both colors, and if I don't have enough, then I will just have to practice, and I'll learn some more about trying to get it as close as possible. Now, right in here, I do want to be really careful with where the tip of my brush is, because I don't know if I made up that word or not, but earlier I called it connective tissue. The wood that is not the animal I'm carving, but is necessary to keep the animal from falling off in a windstorm. And it's kind of that meat that holds the sculpture together and keeps it from being fragile. I coined it as connective tissue. So I think I'm going to stick with that. I like that. It makes sense to me. If you have a more technical term and want to teach me, that'd be fun. I'd love to learn. Now, let's see. It's getting close here. Might be enough. Might be. Oh, thank you, Lord. Sometimes my accidents are overcome by His blessing of providence. And other times, it's better He decides I just need to learn. And I'm happy with either one, because He is my best interest at heart, and He knows everything. Look at this. I'm not sure I'm gonna paint underneath. What do you think? Like underneath here? I don't know. Let me get this part done and think about it some more. Pondering, pondering, pondering. If I go under, well, I gotta go under though, because it's red on both sides, right? It's not like the feathers are cream color underneath. They're red. So I'm gonna do it. Let's see, let me get a little bit of that off. A little bit more sawdust than I want in my bird feathers. Let's see. I think I want to go all the way down. All the way down to the brown. Hey, that rhymed. I want to go all the way down to the brown. And then I'll paint the legs over top of that. I think I'm going to use it'll be some creation where I'll take, I don't know, I'll take this brown maybe, and I think I'll put some yellow in it and some white in it. And come up with some kind of a creamy tan color. Oh, my wrist is starting to cramp from holding it up in the air like that. It's always interesting to me how much sawdust is left on something, even after I blow on it and try to get it off or hit it with a brush. And then you come along with paint and a paintbrush, and it finds it all. But again, if you want to be really neat and meticulous, please do. And I'd love to see the results that you're getting. I do sometimes get that picky, but today I wasn't feeling it, and I don't mean that from a lack of discipline standpoint. I mean from a creative perspective. I was like, yeah, I don't think I am best served today on this project by being meticulously clean, brushing it hard, getting the air hose out. I think I am better served creatively today to let the sawdust be part of the texture, part of the color, let it mix in the paint, let it affect the paint color, the paint texture. And so far I'm really pleased with how it's coming out. The only thing I'm making sure of is that when I put the paint on there and I use the sawdust, that the end result is that the paint sticks to the sculpture. If I don't get enough paint in it, then the sawdusty, clumpy, painty stuff will just, there's more technical terms for you. The clumps of painted sawdust will flake off, and then I'll have a damaged spot. Let's see, a little more paint in here just to make it, this is not accurate to what the bird looks like, but it looks funny to me to have that much tan up in there. And since the bird will be viewed from a distance, from an outdoor patio setting, and it'll be kind of in the bush, kind of in a tree, depending on how well they trim the shrubs, I don't want that gray to show. I want them to be able to see red. Seeing red. Not like in anger, not that kind of seeing red. Okay, look at my little dude. That is pretty cool. Look at that. So I'm going to let that dry and then come back and paint his eyes and his mask in black. All right, now take a look at this. Look how nice that red turned out. I wasn't sure. It was a learning experience, as almost everything we do together here is. I took this paint here, and it says crimson, and I mixed it with a little bit of white, and because of the spalted colors underneath and the cream color of the wood and that white. Look at that. I think that's pretty Cardinal-esque in color. So now it's dry, and what we're going to do next is put black for the eyes and the mask. So I'm going to sit for this part, and I'm going to use this number 7 Benici. Let's see, can you see that? More interested in you seeing the shape than the brand. I'm picking this one because it's really full and it'll hold a decent amount of paint up in the bristles, but it's pointy, and I need quite a bit of paint, but I need also to be able to draw. So every time I approach something I need to paint, it's my best guess based on some understanding of how things work, and I'm going to use this black paint here. And what I do, you'll see this, I use the same one over and over again, because watch this. This is so cool. Let's see if I can get one to come right off here. So if I just scratch the edge of it like this and then pull, and you can see the whole thing just comes out, and it's now clean. So I know they come several to a pack, but I just keep using the same ones and have fun. Just pull this out. Somebody probably makes things with these, so maybe I'll have to do that one day too. All right, little black paint, and I'm gonna water it down just a little bit. I'm gonna get my brush wet and thin it out. And this is an experiment, as is almost everything I do. I think I want a thinner paint that applies more easily. And I'm gonna need some more water, I think. A couple more drops. Couple more drops. And you see it's getting a little thinner as I stir it. I think that's probably good. And then this, I need to get the shape of the brush back, like so. You can see it pointed. All right, and now, as soon as I get the paint off of me, we paint. We paint black. Eyes. Mask. You ever wonder who the Cardinal is under there? And why does he wear a mask? I do not know. But I've discovered that painting goes better with coffee. And let's turn on the time-lapse camera. Make sure it's going good, because it's fun to get the whole thing from end to end really fast. And today I'm using a new ring light so that you can see better. So I've worked on my audio so you can hear me better, and I'm working on my light now so that you can see better, because, I want to help you, and I want you to come learn with me. So I think being able to see well and hear well is really important. So now I have to make my best guess at where the eye should be. Let's see. Let me get a real bird. So I'm going to do the eye and the mask placement based on this picture. And so that means I want to do this side first. Based on this picture. Let's see. Let me hang it up here where I can just glance at it. Reference photos are so important. Unless you just absolutely have it memorized, no, no substitute for reference pictures. Not to make fun of myself, but it just makes me laugh when I look at a paintbrush and I think of the Zorro movie where the Antonio Banderas character says, "Do you even know how to use that thing?" And no, that was the older guy, and the new Zorro says, "You put pointy end in other man," and I feel that way sometimes with a paintbrush. It's like, do you even know how to use that thing? Well, I put the tip of it against the carving and the paint stays. And that, yes, that's true. That's basically how it works. And I just keep doing it and do it more and more and more and more and more until my ability to put the end with the paint on it against the carving gets better and gets better. Practice, it's muscle memory, it's trying different consistencies of paint, different kinds of paint. So learn. So I ask you, do you know how to even use this thing? Tongue in cheek, of course. All right, let's see. Let me give him a little beak line. I'm planning to come back and carve this indentation. But let's just see That's pretty good. You see that? See the little beak line I gave him? That's not bad. I think I like that. I may not carve that after all. We'll see. Wow. He looks like he's saying, "That's Mr. Cardinal to you." He looks very, very stern. Wonder, how do I get his eyes to look like eyes in the midst of this mask? I think I'm going to use a tiny little touch of white to do that. I gotta let it dry first though. So next I'm going to mix, I want like a little tan color for the feet. Let's see what I got here. Maybe if I put a little of this yellow oxide in my black, maybe. So I'm going to get some black over here in this empty one out of my black tray. And then, since this one's already got black on it, it's going to be my stir stick. And then I just want ever so little dab of this in there. Just enough to go plop. Come on. That is more than I wanted. So I'm going to have to get more black. Okay, now let's stir it up and see what it does. Sometimes I'm really surprised, like, oh, that's an interesting color. Did not know it would do that. Okay, so this is kind of turning green, and I am okay with that. Because little birdie dirty feet sometimes have that little green tone to it. All right, now I'm going to change up from this big thick one, put this in the water, and get this little bitty one. This is a 0. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm going to put it on my forehead. See how thin it is? And I'm going to use it for the feet. And the feet are approximately here and here are the legs, but they're down in behind, and he's gripping it from the side. That's, to be straight like that, he's got to be gripping it from the back. So I'm only showing that his claws are showing, and that's it. Because the rest of his feet are down behind. And so I'm just painting the top edges of, the 3 coming up over the top like this. The rest of it's all back down in there. So I think that's okay. Clean that off. And now I want white. Use my hand quite a bit because everything in here is so dusty. Even my rags are dusty. So when I want to make sure that there's no paint in the brush, use my hand. All right, now I need to, more fun here. I need to clean out one of these. So I'm going to scrape this white chunk. Oh wow, it's still quite wet underneath. So I now have this white, wonderful gob of paint under my my fingernail. Look, it's a French manicure. Guess that goes well with my French last name. Although my grandfather was adopted, so I don't really know. I'm super grateful for the French doctor that took him in, but I don't know what I am. Anglo-Germanic something or another, probably. All right, I'm going to try to put this little dot of white to indicate where the eye is. And then what am I going to do? I need like a little bit of, I think I want a little white line underneath, but I don't want a lot of paint, so it's got to be right when I touch it. Kind of give him under the eye. Maybe should have waited till it was dry. Well, this side turned out really good. I like that. I think that looks, see, shows the front of the eyeball. Now this side, I got more paint on it than I meant to. Let's see. Wonder if I can get that off of there. I know. I'll use a dry paintbrush. Yeah, look at that. Ha ha ha. That is a cool trick. I did not know that trick. Look at that. Used a dry paintbrush and took the paint off that I didn't like. Okay, and that smoothed the black out too. So now, let's try this again with a little less paint on my brush. And I'm just trying to get the outline of the bottom of the eye. Just so that you can tell that's the eye. Oh. And that smeared effect is good. You know what? I'm going to use that all the way around the front of the eye socket too. Just kind of tone the black down and show where the eye is. Well, do you look over your top of your glasses too for stuff? There. Okay, I think that's good. Look. Makes it more clear where the eye is. And then this one is more clear where the eye is. And then I think I'm going to put a little white down there where his feet are. It's just too dark. I can't tell what's going on there. So I'm going to take some of this green here that I made and put it over here with some of this white just out here on the edge and see if I can lighten it up without getting it too white, and then it'll look better, I think. So let me get most of that off my brush, especially the solid white. I don't want any solid white on my brush. And then let's touch that and come back and put these little claws in again. That makes them more visible. There. Now he's got little feet. Little birdie dirty feet. They seem too small for the size of the bird. Yep. The brush isn't dry this time, but I'm going to see if I can remove some of this. Blend it. Clean it up. Got to do that again. Not happy with that at all. I remember watching a Bob Ross one time, and he took a scraper, like a putty knife, and just scraped the whole picture off. I was like, ah! He said, yeah, make a mistake, don't worry about it. Just scrape it all off. Use it as shadowing, background, and paint over top of it. Cool. All right, now, the magic of the finger smudge. It's probably an official technique, right? The finger smudge. Okay, now let's clean my cleanup brush a little, and let's come back for the feet. So if, all right, let's imagine I'm the bird, and I'm grabbing this. That's not big enough. Let's do a paint can for the size of my hands. Okay, so if I'm the bird, and I'm grabbing a hold of a branch from the side like this, I'm going to have the full spread of my claws, and you're not going to see any of this connection here at all. It's just going to look like 3 toes sticking over. This is the image I have in my head anyway. But the more I look at it, the more I think, is trying to put claws on there just making it look silly? Like in my picture, look at my picture. Let's think about this a second. See? No feet. None whatsoever. You can't even see them. And I would never look at that and go, oh, where's the feet? So I choose, which you can do when you're the artist, I'm not going to put any feet on there. I'm going to be feetless in this case. And I am dubbing him done. You, sir, Cardinal, are finished. Because, I'm the artist and I get to decide. Unless, of course, the customer doesn't like it. And then I don't get to decide. They tell me and I fix it. That's part of being new is, if you're doing this to sell stuff, to make a living, which it is my full-time living, be willing to say, yeah, okay, we're going to call that one experience, and I will make you another one. Why not? It is what you do. You need the experience. You need the practice. You can always take pictures of the one they didn't like and put it on your website and sell it for whatever the value is. And the thing that bothered that person, almost 100%, someone else will not notice. Maybe 80%, no one else will notice. So it's still a good carving. It's still a good painting. It's still a good craft item, whatever it is you've made, and it's ready to go. So there's Mr. Cardinal. I hope you like him. If you like this kind of stuff, if you've gotten value from this video, I appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, get notified, comment, do all that YouTubey stuff. I appreciate it.